Remember a few weeks ago when Kip James got taken off TV, but I said that there were still a number of things on the show that could be harmful to the eyes, so I was going to keep the shades on just in case? Well, I'm very glad I did. On Impact this week, they had, God help me, a 3-minute ladder match to determine the #1 contender for the Knockouts Championship between Taylor Wilde and some jobber Bolt. And if that wasn't bad enough, Bolt actually won the match. Okay, there are a lot of things wrong about this. There's nothing I can say about the ladder match that I haven't said before. But as for the rest of this, first of all, Bolt delivered an absolutely abominable performance in her title match at Destination X, and then 1 month later put the fans to sleep at Lockdown. So, yeah, TNA, by all means, let's give this woman a 3rd chance to embarrass your company on pay-per-view. Okay, second, Bolt was destroyed in her title match with Awesome Kong and got pinned in Queen of the Cage. So shouldn't that put her at the bottom of the ladder now? And how the hell does she get into a #1 contenders match all of a sudden? How does that even work? Third, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of these. Third, Bolt got pinned in Queen of the Cage by ODB. So on the next Impact, Bolt is in a #1 contenders match and ODB isn't even on the show? Explain that to me. I mean, shouldn't ODB have been facing Taylor for the title shot? I mean, I wouldn't have been crazy about that either, but at least it would have made sense. Fourth, Bolt used brass knuckles to win the match, so apparently she's a heel now. Again, I think she's been in the company 5 or 6 months now, and in that time she has gone from face to heel to face and now back to heel. TNA, I should not have to point this out to you, but this is one of the reasons, not the only reason mind you, but one of the reasons why this woman cannot and will not get over. How are the fans supposed to get behind a character who changes sides more often than she changes tampons? Just pick a direction for this character and stick with it, because she's already starting to rival the Big Show for how many turns one wrestler can do in their lifetime. Fifth, if the writers are going with Bolt versus Angelina at Sacrifice, God, I hope not, that would be a terrible matchup, then we're looking at heel versus heel, which traditionally does not work that well. And if that is where they're going, then I'm calling this right now. That crowd is either going to be cheering for the beautiful people, or they're just going to be completely dead. Now, the silver lining here, if you want to see it, is that with the way the beautiful people are being pushed right now, there is no way in hell Bolt is going to win the championship. So I'm hoping that Bolt is just being set up as Angelina's sacrificial lamb, just to kill time for a month until they can do Angelina versus Kong at Slammiversary, or until Sarah Stock debuts, which should be pretty soon since they now have her working explosion matches, thank God. Okay, let's talk about something else. Trevor Murdoch. What the hell's up with that? Oh, look, I get that they wanted to bring in some different people to represent the makeshift tag teams who are going to come in and be part of this Team 3D Invitational Tournament thing, but Trevor Murdoch? Really? Are you kidding me? Why? I mean, aside from a halfway decent singing voice, what does this guy bring to the table? I mean, they dangle Paul London in front of us, and then they give us Trevor Murdoch instead? That is really not what I wanted to happen. Seriously. I mean, on the plus side, I do really like the idea of this tournament, and the first 2 preliminary matches were pretty good. You know, I'm glad that even after the World Tag Team Domination match at Lockdown, the tag titles are still being made to look very important. I mean, to have every team in the company, as well as new teams coming in to challenge for them, is great. It makes them belts look very prestigious, like something everybody wants. And I think TNA, as well as Ring of Honor, are keeping tag team wrestling alive while Vince McMahon is doing his damnedest to kill it, and that's awesome. I hope TNA continues to do this, because having a great tag team division will really distinguish them from the WWE. And on a side note, we still have the man who was going to be Paul London's tag team partner coming in. Very pumped about the imminent return of the Amazing Red. That will definitely help the depleted X division, so we've got that to look forward to. I also really like the concept of the main event for Sacrifice. 4 guys, all of whom will have to sacrifice something if they get pinned. I like that. It's intriguing. It ties right in with the theme of the pay-per-view. Now with 4 spots to fill, hopefully they will get at least one young guy in there, although I'm not too optimistic about that right now. It looks like it'll be Foley, Jarrett, Scott Steiner, and probably Kurt Angle. So, we'll see where that one goes. Also good was the opening segment, if for no other reason than they didn't start the show with the Main Event Mafia for once. I like how they've been building the Foley-Jarrett stuff, with Foley becoming more unpredictable and Jarrett starting to think that Mick has lost his mind. Although I don't think we needed all those videos of Foley walking around in public with the title belt throughout the show. It didn't seem like there was any point to showing those, and they just felt like a big waste of time, frankly. And also, I'm kind of scratching my head over why Jarrett thinks he can fire Mick Foley next week. Because if Mick Foley is the quote-unquote majority shareholder in TNA, then doesn't that make him Jeff Jarrett's boss? I mean, isn't he like Steinbrenner is to the Yankees or something? I don't know, but I still like the opening segment. And one thing I absolutely loved this week was the Christopher Daniels interview. How he talked about the state of the X division and how these Main Event Mafia scumbags think that they're above the business and think that TNA was nothing before they got there, and how angry that made him. And I thought that whole thing was fabulous, because that's exactly what I've been thinking and feeling. I mean, TNA wasn't nothing before all these veterans showed up. It was better. And that's what Daniels thinks, and he's pissed off about it. And this was my favorite thing about the show by a mile. I can't wait to see where they go with Daniels now, because if they keep him going in this direction, I think they could really have something with Daniels trying to bring back the old TNA. You know, the TNA before all these broken down veterans came in and made the quality of the wrestling plummet so much. And plus, I mean, in the old TNA, you didn't have the show completely dominated by all these old men constantly. I mean, if you watched Impact this week, you saw Mick Foley all over the show, you saw Jeff Jarrett all over the show, you saw the Main Event Mafia all over the show, and you saw AJ Styles for about 5 minutes, Samoa Joe for maybe 60 seconds, and the Motor City Machine Guns were not even on the show at all. And in related news, I read an interview that Kevin Nash did a few days ago that directly applies to this situation. Now, I cannot believe Nash actually admitted to this, but he basically came out and said that the problem with the Main Event Mafia feud is that the young guys are so athletically gifted and the veterans are so old and broken down that when they face each other in the ring, the young guys have to slow down their wrestling style because the veterans just can't keep up with them, and that really makes the young guys look bad. Nash said this. And for a perfect example of what he was talking about, look no further than the Kevin Nash-AJ Styles match on Impact this week. Nash controlled most of the match, and lo and behold, Nash controlling the match made AJ look like shit. And if that is the kind of crap that Christopher Daniels' character wants to fight against now that he's back, then I say push this guy to the freaking moon. Now, on a final note, there was an internet article, now some of you may have read about this, saying that TNA was looking to cut some of the knockouts from the roster so they could cycle in some new talent, and that they would not be renewing Roxy's contract, so we might not see her on Impact again. Now, Roxy kind of sort of debunked this on her official website, roxy-laveau.org. She said that her contract isn't up until October, and if there's any truth to this, then she hasn't been told. Basically saying that, a lot of times these internet writers can get things right or they can get things completely wrong. Well, we all know that part. Anyway, nevertheless, I did email TNA about this, telling them that I'd be very upset if they got rid of Roxy and to please get her back on TV, and also suggesting that if they're looking to cut some women, they ought to cut some Jobber Bolt for obvious reasons. So if you guys are fans of Roxy, then please do the same. Just as a precaution, email TNA info@tnawrestling.com. And that's about it for this video. Sarah Stock ought to be showing up in the web matches starting next week, I believe. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you later.